Welcome to the Heart-Led Business Show, where compassion meets commerce and leaders lead with love. Join your host, Tom Jacobs, as he delves into the insightful conversations with visionary business leaders who defy the status quo, putting humanity first and profit second. From heartfelt strategies to inspiring stories, this podcast is your compass in the world of conscious capitalism. So buckle up and let your heart guide your business journey.
Well, welcome aboard, everyone, and buckle up as we take flight into the world of wellness with Scott Darragh, the mastermind behind Jet Set Trainer. A former Army Black Hawk pilot turned airline captain, Scott's mission is as heart-driven as it gets, helping high-flying professionals stay fit, fierce, and fabulous, no matter where their jet setting takes them. Now, get ready to glean some gems of wisdom from Scott's journey of overcoming stress and embracing purpose in both health and business. So let's jump right into the heart of the matter on the Heart-Led Business Show. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Talk about my heart.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you too, because you have the two passions that I'm passionate about as well. And that is fitness. And I used to be a fitness trainer as well, that we talked about, and flying. And I happen to be a single engine 300-hour pilot as well. So we're going to totally geek out here. Audience, please stay attached. We will be talking about business and being heart-led as well at the same time. So, Scott, I always like to ask the first question though, and that is, what's your definition of a heart-led business?
Yeah. So I'm glad to be here to talk about that. My definition of a heart-led business is getting paid to do the things that make you happy. And if you can help people along the way, then it truly is. I don't know what they say, right? You're truly not working anymore, right? And so that's a big reason why I started my Jet Set Trainer training company, was because I love to help people. And I did get paid to fly. I love to fly, but I was kind of lacking on at least that feel-good feeling when you change someone's life. Now, that obviously, if someone's flying on our planes and we're taking them somewhere, everyone has an important reason to fly. Always remember that, because we have passengers. And it's a privilege to be a part of that. It's a privilege to get to fly the flying public, but it's a little bit more indirect. So as a former Army officer, I do miss the mentorship of working with soldiers or working with, subordinates or superiors and accomplishing big goals together. And I was having an itch for that. And I decided to start this business so I could scratch that itch and solve a problem that a lot of aviators and a lot of, especially airline pilots and crew members, flight attendants, business travelers, all know the obstacles too well when it comes to their health and travel. And so I wanted to provide a solution to that problem.
Yeah, I love that definition. And it reminds me, another guest had said, actually wasn't a guest on the show. It was actually one of my clients. He said, you know what, Tom, there's nothing better than helping someone and getting paid for it. It's like, you know what? That definitely scratches a few itches. So tell us about the journey, Army helicopter pilot turned airline pilot turned fitness trainer. That's quite the stack of skills.
Yeah, I guess you could call me an onion. A bunch of layers to me. So I guess what my life story, right? I grew up in Los Angeles. I quickly realized in high school that all these people are fake. But also, like Holden Caulfield and Catcher in the Rye, maybe I was just a little angsty teen too, right? But I felt that these phonies needed to go and I needed to do something real in my life. As every young man probably thinks of around that time, 18, 20 years old, sometimes you want to go through a crucible, right? Become a real man, or Mulan, right? Go become a man. That was what the Army was to me. It was the military. I wanted to go into service because I wanted to go through a crucible to become a better person. And I think it did help. It helped in ways I didn't expect, but eventually I did get there. And I served in the Army. I deployed to Kuwait and Iraq during time of ISIS. Learned a lot about myself. I was a maintenance officer and a Black Hawk pilot. Learned a lot from mechanics, got to mentor them. We even had a little boot camp in the morning for people who couldn't pass their PT test. So my platoon all passed by the end of their time with me.
I bet.
So I made sure that was a priority early on in my career. but I wasn't a coach yet. I wasn't a trainer yet. Fast forward, Army deployment, realized that was good enough for that itch. That itch has been scratched. I would not like to do that again.
Yeah, but the crucible has been
Crucible,
accomplished.
at least for the usefulness of the Army and developing me as a person, I had decided I had done that, been there, done that. It was time to move on. And I
Sure.
did have a near-death experience over there, and that was part of it. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about business. So
Right.
long story short, I was on a training mission. We almost had a controlled flight into terrain. That changed
Cool.
my life because I was with an instructor who blamed me for the incident. And it really kind of threw a loop into morality and what am I doing here? And is this right? And do I need to stick it to the man? What do I take from that lesson? And what I took from that lesson was I and Scott, Army Scott is a part of me, but Army Scott does not define Scott. I get to define Scott. And for the first time in my life, I realized what I do, what I say, how I carry myself is up to me. Doesn't need to be for someone else. And it made me realize that I almost was sprayed on the floor of the desert in a million pieces because I was pursuing something for other people, for acceptance from other men, from acceptance from society, for acceptance of myself. And don't get me wrong, I'm proud of my service. I'm glad I did it. Flying helicopter is kick ass. Don't.
Yeah. Right.
However, me as a person and my identity wasn't quite formed yet until that moment, because that's when the real work began and I started forming my own identity on my own. In that process, I came back from a deployment. I became a country DJ. I was part-time flying and DJing. I also picked up ballroom dancing. I became a ballroom dance instructor along the way, but also I was pursuing maybe flying something else with a little more comfortable with AC, going somewhere that's a little nicer. And so I was lucky and fortunate enough to go fly regional jets for American. And it was wonderful. And then eventually led to my current job where I'm a 737 captain at a major carrier. All the while doing that, I actually interviewed at a major carrier before that, and they told me no. They said, Scott, thanks, but no thanks. And of course, my ego took a dive.
I thought it was like an automatic in if you have military experience at most of the major carriers.
You're going to have to have another show and ask the recruiters what they want.
Yeah, right. Well, it won't be a heart-led show.
Okay, no, it's fine. Everything happens for a reason. And the reason that happened was because I started this business right after that. And then I didn't just start a business, I started a $250,000 fitness business.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to dive in.
That was my quick synopsis of who Scott is, and quickly, let's turn it into a $250,000 fitness business in 1 year. What happened?
Yeah, that is amazing. Like when I started my fitness business in 2008, and I had a physical facility, the first year I only did 100,000 and dumped out my entire 401k to support it. So I actually paid to be a part of that business.
Yeah, I believe it.
So tell us how you were able to start the business and clear 250,000 the first year as a trainer.
Well, the short word is I asked for help. First thing I did was I said, you know what? I've never run an online business before. I better ask for help. I was smart enough to do that because one, other people had gotten me to the point in my life, whether it was instructors in the military or instructors in high school or college, everything I am is because someone put time into me. I have some talent, but most of what I know came from someone else. And sure, a way is to figure it out on your own. That is totally reasonable. Is it the most effective, fast way? No, not at all. I don't know of a skill that is better to learn by yourself without any instruction. Maybe being a parent, I'm about to do that, but we did the baby classes, so I step back. We did the baby classes, but I realized I needed help. And why fitness, right? So the 2 years or so previous to this decision, I had been working with an online fitness coach, and I got a lot of really great results. I came from background. I played college hockey. I was in the military. I thought I understood fitness, but I understood performance fitness, sports. I understood how to pass your APFT, but none of those things are how to be a healthy, functional adult over 29, 30 years old. No one teaches you that until I met this online coach. And he basically taught me that. He taught me that, hey, like, Scott, this is how you eat food, believe it or not. It's not just eat when you're hungry. Here's what you can do if you can't go to the gym. And when you are in the gym, here's a better way to approach it from a maybe muscle growth standpoint, because muscle isn't just for vanity, as you know. is a very healthy thing to carry throughout your entire life. It does way more things to make you look good.
Yep. It allows you to get off the toilet when you're 70, 80 years old.
Yeah, or play with your kids, not have aches and pains, be able to eat more food and not wear it as fat, right? Be able to
Yeah.
enjoy life as it comes to you. It makes you more resilient metabolically and resilient emotionally, resilient physically. And so I learned all those things. Am I an expert 2 years in? No, of course not. But I realized I know a heck of a lot more than a lot of my peers fly
Sure.
with every day, who are struggling with their weight, who are struggling with sleep, who are struggling with energy, who are struggling with how to eat, struggling with maybe they don't like the gym. That's okay. You don't have to like the gym. So I can help these people. I felt confident enough where I raised my hand. I've learned enough from this coach. I'm going to go get an NSAM cert. I got my CAA certification because for me, I wanted to prove to myself that I at least got an accredited source of training. I give training to someone else and knocked that out and hired a business coach. I think within the first 2 weeks of starting my little Instagram, I was like, all right, I need to ask for help and figure out how to do this right.
Yeah. So you got the systems, the processes, all of that from the business coach so you could set up the business in a way that fit your lifestyle. And then how did it take off from there?
Yeah. I think the business coach really helped me launch what I wanted by helping me, one, actually learn sales. I'd never done sales, really. That was huge, just being skillful in conversation and communication and listening. And being able to do sales is really being able to help people. They're the same thing. Someone who doesn't help someone but sells something, they're a salesman. That's my opinion. Someone who's selling yourself to help someone, the sales process is a part of that help. You can't help someone unless they exchange energy and resources to allow you to help them. So overcoming the fear of asking for money, is important because you're worth it. And realizing that out of the gate, learning how to ask for money, it's more nuanced than you'd expect.
Right.
And leaning into what makes me unique, because there's a zillion fitness coaches out there.
Yeah.
There's only one of you.
That's right.
You need to really lean into who you are and what makes you different, and lean into who your niche is. Like, who are you helping? And my niche is quite nichey. Does it that I work with only pilots and flight attendants? No, it doesn't. It's a conversation that's not held very often. And that's what gets eyeballs. How you express yourself, who you are as a person, just talking. And once again, this is all through social media, right? The power of social media is that it's social. And if you're a social person, you don't mind posting, you don't mind sharing who you are with strangers in the world, it's a great place to start an online business. So I guess to answer the question, how did I, at least right out of the gate, that's how I got started. I asked for help. The help I received that made me profitable in the first month. I made $10,000 in the first month. I learned how to sell, learned how to generate leads from a low cost standpoint. Social media, the algorithm's free. Learn how to have a conversation in the DMs to get them to make a small commitment to book the call, get them on the call, and then take from zero to hero in processing hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to you.
When you put it like that, Scott, it's very logical.
Well, it is.
Unfortunately, a lot of people are, or not unfortunately, I think it's fortunate, we're stuck in our heart. And a lot of heart-led business owners struggle with the balance between being heart-led and giving. And like you said, fear of asking for money is at the top of that list in terms of fears. But don't always look at the business side as well. And so you were able to, from the start, know that I want to help people. Selling is serving to me. And basically, we're just problem solvers. Somebody has a problem, we have a solution, we help them solve that problem. That's,
one
to me,
problem
that's
might be an objection.
Yes.
That might be a problem that you need to solve.
Right. Yeah. To overcome their objection.
Oh, it's just a problem that needs solving. Now, it's not you coercing, it's not you persuading, it's not you twisting anything. It's you solving a problem. And easier said than done, obviously. I think that behind all of this, asking for money, there has to be a fundamental belief that you can solve their problem and you will change their life forever. They're coming to you for help if they're on a call with you, right? They've already said, yeah, I'm interested. I want to meet Scott. They've already admitted to themselves they have a problem. It's up to you to show them that you can help them. And you fundamentally believe, like, if someone who falls overboard or is in a pool and they're struggling to swim, do you wait to throw the life vest? You ask them for permission. You need this life ring. Are you sure you got it? And if someone said, no, I'm fine, and they're clearly not, I'm still going to throw the life vest, right? It's very similar. You can't ask for money. And if they say no, and it's like, okay, well, you're sinking, so let's try this again.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of how I approach it, is if someone's struggling, it's up to you to find a way to make it work for them.
I feel like when people are in that conversation, and especially the heart-led business owner, they get that, oh, I'm not quite sure. Let me go think about it. And or the person says, yeah, that's too expensive for me. And a lot of times they just let them go at that point, forgetting, like what you said, they were there in the first place in front of you because they have a problem. If they leave and don't solve that problem, that's really on the salesperson, because what happens to them next? They're not going to get help. Or if they do, it's going to be subpar help, and they'll die an early death, and you become a murderer. There's some words of truth in there too, in terms of being able to help people and that being a great calling. And unfortunately, a lot of heart-led people get that money thing in their head, and they're like, oh, I can't do both.
How can you help someone for free?
You can. Well, you can, but it doesn't last for very long.
Let me tell you, I've tried that. For the listener, seriously, hear me out. When I first started brand new, I don't even think I had the business coach yet. I was like, I need to get my confidence as a trainer. Like, I haven't trained anyone. Well, to 3 friends who are airline pilots, and I said, hey, I'm starting a trainer business. I'll train you for free. Sound good? They said, cool, Scott, I'll work with you. How do you think that went?
They probably didn't do the work.
They 1000% did not do the work. Now, this is a very important lesson to me. I think that's why I was so aggressive about asking for money, because I knew it free doesn't work. There's no skin in the game. People want things. People want to be fit. They want to be healthy. They want to be wealthy. They want a big house. They want a nicer car. The want is easy to find and to see. But do they really need it, or do they really, really have a reason for it? And that's the magical part about asking for money, is that's really where you put your money where your mouth is. And one, it's going to make them more effective in your program, because when they see that money leave every month or up front, they paid for it. I'm going to listen to what Scott says. Cost me X amount of dollars. I'd be a fool not to pay attention to what he said. If Scott did this for free, yeah, that's nice, Scott. I'll do that another day. Whatever. No skin. The heart-led people, you have to realize that doing this for free or doing this for less money even isn't fair to you or them.
Yeah.
Because it needs to sting a little bit, because this problem stings. It's not appropriate for the problem you're trying to solve. Like, we're talking fitness. I'm so passionate about fitness because what is more important than your health? Nothing. You'd be surprised. On a sales call, I will ask, what other expenses do you have? XYZ, blah, 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 blah. Is that more important than anything we talked about today?
That's great.
Is that more important than anything we discussed today? And I don't know what you're selling or what your business is. You got to have that radical belief that it's easy for fitness, but also it's tough. Fitness is a tough sell. Fitness is
very tough.
It's a service. And the service, if it's a service sale, you got to believe that your service is life-changing, or else you're not going to make it.
Well, and what complicates it even more is that you are selling something that people inherently do not want to do. Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, yeah, I'm going to go work out. Well, maybe like 1% or 2% of the population. But most people, they don't want to work out. And when trainers are selling workouts, of course it's not going to work, because that's not what they want. It's all about understanding. And that's why it's so important to uncover what the problem is with that, or the perceived problem that the prospect has, and then offer the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
And the solution isn't working out. The solution is the results of them working out. It's always interesting when I talk to heart-led business owners about that. They're like, oh, it's a complete shift in their thinking. And they oftentimes go on to help a lot more people and are able to do it with a profit.
Should be a clear vision, right? A question I like to ask is, I just had this call today. Did I close them? I didn't. So I'm getting in my head right now what I should have said even. I had a gentleman today who's had really low T, middle-aged, 50 years old, former nurse, know-it-all, but I liked him. He was good energy, but he's also a know-it-all, which is fine. I love know-it-alls because they don't. And it's really easy to show. He was really struggling with belly fat. He's just out of it, right? And I'm like, okay, so why is this so important to you? Well, I want to feel better. I'm like, everyone wants to feel better. Why do you want to feel better? How is that going to change your life?
Yeah.
What specifically will change when you wake up having energy past 7 p.m.? How is that going to change your life? How is being comfortable to take your shirt off going to change anything? I think you look, you know what I'll even say? I'll say, I think you look fine. You're not obese. You're not on 600-pound life. Why change it all? But because they're here, right? They want to change, obviously.
Yeah.
Here, another good advice that I was ever told with all of this is selling isn't telling. I can't tell them they need to change. They have to tell me. And so when I talk to people, they're doing most of the talking until we go to the solution. And it's so important because even if you're brand new at your business and you might not have the confidence, at the end of the day, you need to be able to recognize if someone's either tire kicking you or just shopping around or being standoffish. You have what they want. You may not have a single paying client. You might be $10,000 in debt. You're on the phone with somebody who might buy from you. You do not need them more than they need you.
Right.
That has to be the facts.
Yeah.
And to be honest, even when I get to the end of the call and I'm like, well, okay, I tried to help. If it's a no, like today, I'm just like, you know where to find me. I did everything I could today to try and help you. And you got to just move on. And I've had it where I've portrayed that energy just like, well, okay, none of that makes sense. But if you say so, and they pick up on that, oh, wait, hold on a second. And then you catch their because they want you to like capitulate to them. And it's like, no, I know my worth. This is what it costs. I've tried to ask you what cash on hand you have. You don't have an answer. How can I help you? I just sit there. You said on the application you have funds set aside, but here we are. I've told you the price and I'm asking you what funds you have set aside and you don't know. So what are we doing here? I'm confrontational, but it's confrontational. It's coming from a good place. It's a heart-led business. How can I help you if you don't know a budget? How can I help you if you have zero control over your finances? How can I help you if you're willing to spend money on a vacation before your health? How can I help you if you want to do the same thing for another 5 years and hope that changes? I've been very direct with people. And when that stuff starts coming out of their mouth, I will just tell them straight up, you know what? I actually don't think I can help you if you truly believe that. And I make them double down on their ridiculousness, and very few do.
Yes.
Yeah, you just have to have this like fire in you that one, as long as it's not truly a logistical concern, like they just truly don't have the money. They just truly, something happened. They ran a car and it declines or something. And it's just a logistical concern. Sure. But if it's not a logistical concern, they don't want to disclose anything logistical to you, then you need to start challenging them on what they're doing right then and there. Because you came on the call, they knew it would cost money. I even ask, as long as this is in your budget, do you feel like you can get started? Sure. It cost X. Yeah, I don't know how much money I have anymore. What do you mean you want to talk to your business partner? Your business partner in charge of your health?
This is like gold. This is like a masterclass in closing, but from the heart in terms of just connecting with that individual. And I'm a true believer in that challenge of the sale, that not to be a doormat, because people need that. A lot of times people are used to just telling their own BS and people accepting it. And when you're in a sales situation and they need the help, you call them out on that. They truly appreciate it. Maybe not in the moment, but later.
I've learned the hard way. Trust me. I can feel my wife in the corner listening to my sales call, cringing the way I come out and maybe come out a little too intense. And so I'm working on my tonality when I challenge, because for me, I'm a very direct person. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'll tell you what doesn't work: doing nothing.
Yes.
Exactly. I've had a few people come back after their original call with me, but the most don't. And that's just the way of the world. It's an opportunity to get better at what you do. And to be honest, what I like about any sales call is you're never as good as your last sale.
Absolutely.
Every time you're going in, you can't let your ego, like I sometimes struggle thinking that I'm hot shit, for better words, and I don't do a good job on a sales call. I'm like, just like every landing, you're only as good as your last landing. But it's not just sales too. Managing the business is this whole other thing that is, I would say, I'm still working on being a better manager.
Well, I think business in general is an ongoing process that you should continuously be learning and seeking others that are above you or beyond where you are and where you want to be. And when you're in a room where you're not the smartest one, you're in the right room.
Yeah.
I totally believe that. So, Scott, this has been just an amazing conversation. And I love kind of how we've woven in the business side with the passion that you have for fitness. It's very clear that you are heart led and you're very good at what you do in terms of helping people solve a problem. So, thank you for being an amazing business person and helping so many people.
No, thank you for just letting me share just a piece of my journey.
So, how can people learn more about Jet Set Trainer and get a hold of you?
So, if you might be a traveler, if you're listening to this, or you might be into fitness, I don't have to just work with travelers, but you can get a hold of me by, I would say the easiest way to find me or my socials is just go to jetsettrainer.com. I own that domain. In there, you'll see links to social media, but you can also learn more about what the business is and what it offers. But yeah, jetsettrainer.com. That's easy.
Awesome. And you're giving a free metabolic blueprint too for the listeners.
Yeah. So if you're like really jazzed about health and fitness, this is something that I rolled out this year because I'll tell you why it's here real quick. You know, a lot of health coaches and fitness coaches and nutritionists and whatnot, they will arrive to a point with a client who does everything they ask and they're still struggling. That happened to me. I would have a client who did everything I asked, but for the life of him, his weight loss stopped at 200 pounds. But for his body type, his height, his age, more like 180 was more appropriate. And there was nothing I could do, nothing I could advise him to get past that plateau. And he was getting miserable. I was getting frustrated. And it really led me down this path of like, what am I missing as a health and fitness coach beyond their diet and exercise to help someone get healthier? Short answer is it's in the biology. And so I was fortunate enough to find a functional health doctor that partners with clients like myself who are fitness coaches. And we start to approach functional health, meaning more metabolic health for you listeners. For example, my client, he was really struggling once we took a blood test on processing glucose. He had really high liver inflammation markers. He had really low testosterone, really high cortisol. All these things were all over the place. And the worst part about this whole experience is before he took my blood test with this functional health doctor, he said, my labs are good. My doctor said I'm normal. My doctor says I am perfectly healthy. And that's what's so frustrating. And that's why I brought this into my program, because your primary care provider their job is not to make you live an optimum life. Their job is to prevent you from being sick
or keep you better from being sick. And not a lot of them do the prevention.
Yeah, I would say it's not even preventative. It's reactionary. Are you sick?
Yeah,
or are you sick? It's binary. If you're sick, we do a surgery, we do a prescription, we do a XYZ to remedy the symptoms or the sickness. And more often than not, it's not an all-encompassing solution. My parents are doctors. I will talk smack on. I'm joking, but I'm not saying doctors are bad. I'm just saying from a long-term health standpoint, that's not what they're trained to do.
I mean, the normal range is an average of the population. And if you look at the population of the US, do you want to be an average of an obese population?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The average American unhealthy? Yes. So an average score on a lab means that you're unhealthy. So even though it's green, it just means you're normally unhealthy, not extremely unhealthy. And so, yeah, it's exactly it. And so I work with a functional health doctor. We look at the labs truly as how can we have a 2025 version of Tom instead of a whacked out 1986 version? How do we fix that? And so we come up with protocols that include diet, but also targeted supplementation that addresses specific things like a fatty liver or glucose insensitivity or gut health issues. And my client who was stuck broke through the plateau 30 days later by just taking those supplements. And we actually ate more food. He lost weight because we were able to address some of this dysfunction. So long story short, to begin that process, I offer that for free for anyone because it's so powerful. I call it a metabolic black box download, pilot stuff. We want to get into the data. We want to see what's going on. And so what it is, it's like a 20-minute survey. It's like a personality test for your body. Asks you questions for you to self-report symptoms that you may think are normal, but the survey will tell you it's not. And put that out and we sit down on a 15-minute call, and I'll go over your results and kind of give you some insight into what your symptoms are telling you and kind of go from there. But I do that with every client. If a client signs up with me, we're going to do the same process. You're getting step 0 from working with me for free, basically, because it's
Awesome.
such a powerful tool. It's good insight. Whether you work with me or not, it's food for thought. It's something you could take with you. And I am helping someone for free, believe it or not. They still put in 20 minutes of hard labor on that survey. So it's a beastly survey, but it's great. I love it. I meet a lot of great people, and you can download it. The link I think you're putting in the show notes. It's jetsettrainer.com/BHE Bravo Hotel Echo BHE for biometric health survey. The link will be in there. But if you ever want that or need that, you can just go to the website, find me on a social, send me a DM, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. And I wish that technology or the functional medicine was at its point when I had my facility, because that would have saved so much. And just the way that the technology and functional medicine has come over the last 5 to 10 years, it's just been incredible advances. So glad that you're doing that. I think more trainers need to incorporate some of that functional medicine into their protocols, because it gives people that ultimate edge.
It won't overcome a bad diet or sedentary life. You still have to do things. They're not magic pills, but the vast majority of my clients do a great job, and adding these supplements, this protocol, just understanding their blood work really makes a huge difference. It even prevents us from doing some things that I might have done had I not seen their blood work first. It's also preventative as well from a safety standpoint. Someone who's really showing high inflammatory markers from sugar, we're probably going to start with a low carb diet to calm that down. But I wouldn't know that without the blood results in front of us. So
amazing. Well, cool. Well, Scott, thank you so much for spending your time with us today and sharing your words of wisdom and advice of business and being heart-led as well. So I really appreciate it. I know our listeners appreciate you as well.
Thank you. Love to be here. And I'm excited to talk to anyone who watched this, to be honest.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in today and watching the show if you're on YouTube as well. We really do appreciate it. Now, make sure you're checking out everything that Scott has to offer. We're going to put all the links, especially to that blueprint, down in the show notes. So make sure you check that out. Take that quiz. Spend the 20 minutes. Put it together. It's going to be really good information for you. So make sure you're doing that. And then while you're down there, maybe there's a rating and review that you could give the show while you're in that show notes. So if you could do that for me, I'd appreciate it. Just spreads the word about the Heart-Led Business Show. So until next time, lead with your heart.
You've been listening to the Heart-Led Business Show, hosted by Tom Jacobs. Join us next time for another inspiring journey into the heart of business.